The Springboks are going to clean sweep Ireland 2-0 in this series. At least that's my opinion as an objective onlooker. Obviously, the big talking point is that Siya Kolisi, the captain, has been recalled after his stint playing club rugby in France. That kind of shifts the balance of power towards the Springboks for me, because I really think this is going to be a gnarly loose forward battle. Now, Ireland have certainly been bolstered by the return of Peter O'Mahony, who we thought was probably going to retire after the Six Nations, but according to him, there's still more left in the tank. However, I don't think the Irish loose forwards, as good as they are, can quite match it with South Africa. Not when you have Siya Kolisi on the ground, not when you have Pieter-Steph du Toit menacing the breakdown at number 7, and not when you have Kwagga Smith waiting on the reserve bench potentially. Now, to me, Kwagga was actually the difference maker in that Rugby World Cup final against the All Blacks. One or two of his pilfers killed the Kiwis off, and I can see him doing the same thing against Ireland. Now, funnily enough, if the Springboks do clean sweep Ireland, they can probably thank their longtime foes, England, for giving them the blueprint earlier this year in the Six Nations. You might recall that 1-point victory that the English had over Ireland at Twickenham. It was a great win, and it really started by nullifying the Irish at the breakdown. They could just not get a roll on. And I think that a lot of Ireland's success in the last 5 years, where they've racked up an impressive 79% winning percentage, it stems from quick ruck ball. If you can slow down the ball at the source, they are not the same team, especially without the distribution skills of Gibson-Park, who is injured. Which brings me to my next point. Ireland is vulnerable in the halves. Now, that is not a knock on Jack Crowley. If you listen to any of my Six Nations analysis this year, you would have heard me singing his praises. I think this kid is one for the future. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the Irish backline hasn't really missed a beat despite the retirement of a generational talent like Johnny Sexton. The thing about Sexton is that while he has virtuoso moments, he's not an out-and-out game breaker like a Damien McKenzie from New Zealand, a freakish mercurial talent. I think that Sexton was more of a game manager par excellence, the kind of guy who could keep their intricate choreographed plays running like a metronome. And Crowley can do the same thing. He just needs more time in the saddle. But let me tell you something. It is a whole different world playing South Africa in South Africa. I think it is the Everest of world rugby. Sure, the All Blacks at Eden Park probably have the most formidable record, but damn, playing South Africa at altitude, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I just think it's the ultimate test. And it's a test that's coming pretty early in the career of Crowley. I think he was able to dominate in the Six Nations this year because he could lean on the experience of Gibson-Park, who really grabbed many games by the scruff of the neck. He is not going to have that luxury this time. Then you look at who they're going up against. Tried and tested World Cup winners Faf de Klerk and Handré Pollard. Yikes. That is a formidable halves pair to play. And I just don't know that this Irish halves combination has quite the game-breaking skill to get through that staunch South African defense at home. Now, my third reason for the impending Springboks series victory might surprise you. I think the Springboks have something to prove. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, we just won 2 World Cups in a row. Yeah, you did. And that's why I think you're the best team in the world. However, Ireland have had the wood on you guys in recent years. In fact, they have won 3 of their last games against you on the trot, including a World Cup pool game. A World Cup pool game doesn't mean anywhere near as much as a World Cup knockout game. But it has to rankle South Africa that they have not been able to get over their opponents who also wear green. I think it's time to make a statement and put a stake through the hearts of these Irishmen and beat them 2-0 and end any debate about who the best team in the world is. I also think that South Africa has the talent to not just win World Cups, but to dominate between cycles. I know it's not as important to you guys, not as much as it is to New Zealand, who are under pressure to win every single test match. South Africans are a little bit more comfortable with experimenting with their squads in between World Cup cycles, maybe losing a few rugby championships here and there, as long as they can climb the summit and win the Webb Ellis Trophy. But I actually think you guys are better than that. I think it's time for South Africa to start dominating in between World Cup cycles, because you all have the talent to do it. Now, is this what I want to see as an All Black fan? Of course not. But I'm just calling it as I see it. There is no need for the Springboks to have a post-World Cup lull. You guys are too good for that. And nothing would be more impressive than backing up your heroic World Cup win with a 2-0 whitewash of Ireland. And I think you guys are going to do it. But what do you guys think? Am I underestimating the Irish? They did win the Six Nations this year quite comfortably in the end. Comment below, let me know if I am drinking too much South African Kool-Aid. And I can't wait to watch these games unfold. Stay tuned for another video coming soon where I'm going to analyze why the All Blacks should be afraid of England. Yikes.